So the match finishes Forest 1, Bournemouth 1. Welcome to the player ratings. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well, and welcome to the player ratings for Forest 1, Bournemouth 1. And the curse continues. The curse of 2015 just continues. Oh, it's so frustrating because I thought, look, I'm going to be positive here. I thought we played really well for probably 60 to 70 minutes. Maybe you could even argue 80 minutes. Forest did play some really good football. It just feels like we kind of ran out of steam, ran out of energy towards the end of the game. But there was some cracking performances for me. I thought Boly was sensational. I thought Yates came on and did a really good job as well. And I guess we have to start with Danilo and just wish him a speedy recovery. It didn't look good. I have seen the replay of it and he's turned it over. Whether or not it's broken or not, we don't know. I don't want to speculate. I just want to wish him, from everyone at FFT, a speedy recovery, and I hope he's okay. But back to the game itself. I feel we should have won that. What we didn't do was put away our chances and get that second goal. Probably, you could argue, didn't create too many clear-cut opportunities. But in general, look, yes, I would have liked the win. But I think there's a lot more positive to take out than there is negatives on it. I will say I thought Gibbs-White did not play well. His passing was off. And linked to that, I would say that Nuno should have subbed him off. Put Anderson in the 10. I didn't agree with Hudson-Odoi coming off. I felt he was kind of dominating that left side. And when Arejo came on, Toffolo struggled with him quite a bit when they were overloading on that back left side with Arejo and Semenya there. So, look, cliches, first game, we didn't lose. We should have won. You could argue Bournemouth looked the most likely to score towards the end of the match. They had a good chance towards the end where, of course, Murillo did his Murillo things and was able to save it. So let's try and keep this positive. Let's start with some positivity. If you haven't already, hit that like button. If you want to try and keep positive, hit the like. Make sure you're subscribed if you are new. And let's get into the player rating. So the link is there for you guys in the chat. Click on that. Score them from 0 to 10 as well. Just go through them, 6 being the average. Now, I'm going to be a little rusty on here, guys, because I ain't done player ratings since the season closed. Let's hope everything is still up and running. So let's get up the player ratings. So here we go. Will this work? Will this work? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Trust the process, as they say. So, a lot of you are coming in on Toffolo. We will talk about Toffolo. We will talk about Toffolo. I just want to be Bournemouth, man. It's just such an annoying, pointless team with a bike shed stadium as well. It's hate them. Okay, let's talk about Sels. Let's kick this one off with Sels. I thought Sels was really... Why is my phone picks up like I've done some voice activator? I thought Sels in the first half and in times in the second half made some really good saves. Really good saves. Kept us in the game. Could he have done more with the goal? Maybe. Because it came across slowly. Now, the goal itself, we'll talk about Toffolo when we get to him. But in general, Sels is okay. My biggest gripe about Sels today was the long balls. Every single one, 90% of the balls to him were just shoved up long, aimed at Chris Wood. The ball wasn't sticking to Chris Wood. And shout out to Teha Bowen for subscribing. It wasn't sticking, but we just continued with that. And I do feel we're good enough to play out from the back. Keith with the £2. Did the cross nick off Sels before it got tougher? I think it did. I think he got a hand to it. He nearly saved the second one. Jay's saying as soon as Toffolo came on, I said, oh no, and there you go. Okay, let's not scapegoat players, right? Let's not scapegoat them right now. So look, Sels, my biggest concern was the long balls. But my thing with that is if he's doing long balls, then that has to be an instruction. So I would actually put that at the door of Nuno. Why were there too many long balls going into Sels from Sels? And that's my concern on it. So I'm gonna give him a 7. If the long balls were his idea, then he's a 6 for me. But it has to be the fact that it was done so many times with very, very limited success. So many times, it's an instruction from management for me on that one. So he's a 7 from me. Let's see what you guys went with, Sels. 6.8. We're not a million miles off. We're not a million miles off. Keep those votes coming in. Let's get them over 100. So that was Sels for me. I just that balloon feels like it's popped. It's so annoying. All right, let's talk about Nico Williams. Now, I thought Nico Williams in the first half was probably up there with Boly in terms of player of the match. As soon as he got his yellow card in the second half, he almost wasn't really able to fully commit into the challenges. And it did cost us a bit down that left-hand side. They even switched Semenya out to that side. He got in behind him a couple of times. His first half was the best I've seen him play. The second half wasn't that good from him, if I'm being honest. Now, attacking-wise, he put a couple of crosses in late in towards the second half. That looked good, that we could have scored from. I just don't... Look, if someone gets booked, and they're worried about timing their challenges, then you got to sub them off or tell them commit. And if we go down to 10, so be it. So that's my worry. And their goal came from that our right-hand side where they got in behind, got to the byline, and then crossed it in. I'm going to give him a 6. I had him on an 8 at half-time. I'll be honest with you guys. But if he can play like he did until that yellow card consistently, we got a decent player here. But his flaws did come out in that I can't remember what minute he got booked in. Probably, what was it, guys? Like the 60th minute? After that, it was just a little lacking. So I'm going for a 6 with Nico Williams. You guys have gone a 6.6. So a little higher than me. I'm not going to argue with it too much, to be honest. What I am going to argue with is there's over 600 in here and 59 likes. Come on, guys. It's one button. Click it, like, subscribe if you are new as well. That's why I've gone for Nico Williams. Now, next to him was Boly. And I think, for me, Boly is an early candidate for man of the match. He was just very solid. Solid Willy Boly. His passing's not amazing. But defensively, and the way he just bats away, like, the balls, and the physicality of him and everything, I think he had a great game from start to finish. A great game from start to finish for me. I can't think of a mistake he's made. I can think of plenty of challenges he put in. Great positional play he was on as well. I'm going for an 8 for Boly. I was actually impressed. And what I like about this is everyone's got Milenkovic and Murillo as the centre-back pairing. How do you drop Boly now for Milenkovic after that performance would be my question. Because it would be very harsh to drop him. Maybe Carlos was right, guys. Maybe drop Murillo and bring Milenkovic and Boly in. No, weird world. But no, I was very impressed with Boly. So I'm giving him an 8. You guys went... I think that's a little low, man. I think that's a little... You could go a back 3, Badger, but we haven't been building for a back 3. So you guys got 7.4, very harsh. I need a few more of you vote. All the votes are live. As soon as you vote, it counts. So push that Boly average up if you agree with me. I dropped Murillo, says N2. He's a moment's player. So maybe Carlos has more people agreeing with him now than it was initially. All right, let's bring up Murillo. Now, I don't think he did too much wrong. I think Boly shone to me more than Murillo did. Obviously, the goal came off the deflection of his face. He seems to be getting unlucky with a lot of that. I was saying Carlos called it Murillo. No comment on my side. I think you lot are being harsh. He saved us a point at the end with his positional play, his strength, and the way he got across the Bournemouth striker. So let's not forget, we could have lost that game if it wasn't for Murillo. But I still think Boly was better. So I've given Boly an 8. I don't think Murillo did too much wrong, to be honest. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. I thought it was solid. It was solid for me. For me personally, let's see what you guys think. You guys went a 7. Okay, we're in full agreement, chat. Note the time and date. This is a rare occurrence right now. Very rare. But okay, we're on the same wavelength. What are you lot saying? What's Ian saying here? The manager has had time, and although it's very early, I'd be looking for a new manager. He makes same mistakes time and time again. Maybe the chat agree. I don't personally. Kitty saying that Murillo was very good. Owen saying Murillo careless passing today. He's in the Carlos camp by the signs of it. We can't keep relying on Murillo to save us. I do tend to agree with that. I mean, we shot up. We were our own biggest enemy today. Okay, let's go to Aina. Now, how do I describe Aina's performance? Well, firstly, it would help if I could bring him up. There we go. Now, for me, Aina wasn't brilliant today. He was a little sloppy. Gave away a couple of silly fouls when the Bournemouth players were being cornered, and didn't need to give free kicks away. They were cul-de-saced. However, when you compare his performance to Toffolo, bring me Aina any day of the week. So it's hard to judge. He got forward, but I don't think his interlinking play with Callum Hudson-Odoi was as switched on as we saw it towards the back end of last season. So for me, Aina's about a 6.5. Nothing really wrong, just a little bit match sharpness needed from him, and he'll be absolutely fine. I hope his injury isn't bad, because Loku, the player that we're interested in, he's out, I think, for 8 months now. So it's back to the drawing board there as well. So I'm going to give him a 6.5. I ain't got half buttons here, so I'll just put a 6 on. So whatever. JB saying same problems, injury, poor from set pieces, and stupid mistakes. That's true. That goal doesn't get conceded if Aina's still on the pitch. Far better defender than Toffolo. I mean, you're preaching to the converted, bro. He's my favorite player. He's my favorite player. You guys have gone 6.6. So I said 6.5. Okay, we're not a million miles off. Keep those votes coming in. You know, this is your chance to get your say collectively. We'll also have a phone in this evening. It'll either be 8:30 or 9 o'clock. Depends what time I get dinner sorted and everything else. My man Wazza with the £2. Oscar and I have had a great game. Give us a shout out. Shout out to Oscar. Shout out to Warren. I'm glad you enjoyed the game. I'm just a little bit deflated, if I'm being honest with you. But thank you so much for the £2, bud. Okay, so let's move on to the midfield. Now, on Danilo, I'm not gonna rate him, man. I'm more concerned about his health. So I'm not even gonna bring your chat's rating up on him. Let's just respect that health is more important than a rating. So I just wish him a speedy recovery, as I'm sure you all do as well in the chat. You can't judge a performance anyway on 10-15 minutes at the start. So I'm giving him a hopefully 10 out of 10 for recovery for that. So much love to him. So let's move forward. Well, we'll talk about Ryan Yates actually instead, because obviously Yates came on and played the majority of the game. I was very impressed with Yates, especially in the first half. He got the assist. Does that count as an assist, by the way, if it comes back off the keeper? I think it still does. And what I liked about it was that I felt Sangare freed Yates up to play more as an 8 than as a just sit next to Sangare kind of thing. And his passes were progressive. He was passing them forward. I'd have said that first half performance for Yates was one of the best I've seen of him in the Premier League. Very, very good. He could have scored a goal or put in Anderson in that second half where he just shot it straight at Neto. To be honest, if I'm being critical, he could have probably scored that goal that Woods picked up. He just again hit it straight at the keeper. So very good performance, probably faded out towards the end of the second half for me. And I'm going to give him a 7. I thought he had a really good performance today. 7 out of 10 for me. However, I still probably would have brought on someone like Anderson or Dominguez for me. And yeah, I agree. There was less silly fouls. There was a couple, but he also won a few. So you could argue they cancelled each other out. So I'm going to 7 for Yates. You guys have gone about the same, 7.16. We got over 750 of you in here. Quick reminder, please do hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribed if you are new. We're on the road to 30k. The 131 likes. And on YouTube, there's 600 of you. It takes 1 second. 1 second. If you want a Forest phone in tonight where we get to hear your calls, we need at least 200 likes, okay? 300 ideally. So get your likes up. Get your likes up in there. So you guys went 7.16 for Yates. Now, let's talk about Sangare. And I watched him today with a lot of interest because what I wanted to see was, could he take that preseason form into the Premier League? Now, Bournemouth's midfield aren't the most challenging midfield. Thank you, Kaiser. Aren't the most challenging midfield in terms of height and physicality. So I expected him to dominate it. And for me, that first half, he did dominate it. Freed up Yates to go forward. He was linking in the likes of Williams down the right-hand side and Elanga as well. And I felt quite comfortable with him there. There was 1 or 2 bad passes from him throughout where they got a counter-attack and Boly actually saved him. But overall, and then I would say at about the 70th minute, you felt he gassed a little, but I didn't mind him staying on because he needs to be getting to those 90-minute marks quite regularly. So I'm going to give Sangare, for me, a 7. I thought it was a really good game, especially the first half. He dominated well, and I'm going to give him a 7. Brucey's probably going to give him like a 2 because he has an agenda against him. But 7. Let's see the agendarists in the chat. You know, I don't believe you have agendas. I just like winding you lot up. So you guys have gone to 7.2. Okay, I think that's fine. I think that's respectable. I think I disagree about Sangare. It's okay, but I wouldn't call him a team leader. I didn't call him a team leader unless you're referring to someone in the chat. So you guys have gone 7.2. That's probably the highest you lot have ever scored him. But that's good. That's good. That's one good test done in the Premier League. He's come out of it respectably with a good show, and that's good. You can't rate a player over 1/2. I mean, he played pretty much the whole match, bro. Anyway, let's move forward. Okay, Morgan Gibbs-White. Terrible performance today for me. I don't want to be negative, but I'm always honest with you guys. Here's the player I wanted us to sign, but I think he's had a poor preseason. I think his passes are woeful. What I do like that's been addressed is that he's been taken off corners and dead balls, which is the right thing to do. His passing was so bad today, so bad. And again, he didn't do as many, but there was still some of those silly flicks and tricks that he does get criticized a lot for, where he was just trying too hard, where a simple pass, there's a couple of times where just a simple inside of the foot pass through to the forward would have been in, and he always seems to want to go with the outside of the boot. I wasn't impressed with his performance at all today. And I hold him to a higher standard because I know and I believe and trust in his ability. Now, if you think back over the last 2 seasons, he has been somewhat of a slow starter into the Premier League for me. Obviously, he signed, I think we were playing Everton. He signed just before we played Everton in the first season. And it took him until Brentford to get his first goal. And then he kicked on. Last season, he didn't have a great preseason for me. And then he had a pretty good season overall. He's definitely not up and running to full speed for me. And today, his passing was woeful. I think he had one shot, which was a poor one. I don't want to dig him out too much because he's one of my favorite players, but I'm going to speak honestly about it. I'm giving him a 4. And that's because I hold him to a higher standard. I think as well, one last thing I will say, the change should have been Morgan Gibbs-White for Anderson. Why Callum Hudson-Odoi came off? We'll discuss that when we talk about Nuno. Villa are 1-0 up, are they? Oh, God. What happened to West Ham winning the league? Lawless. Lawless. So I'm going to give him a 4. Maybe I'm being harsh. I don't know. Let's see what you guys say. 5.3. So you've scored him 1 and a bit higher than me. Ian's saying 4 is too generous. Or what are you going to say to your fellow chatties who have gone for a 5.3? So, okay. I don't want to stay on anything negative. So let's move forward. Look, first game of the season. We got a point. Cool. Elanga. What were your thoughts, chat, about Elanga? Get him in the chat. I had mixed feelings about Elanga. There were certain moments in that game where I thought he's doing all right. He's doing well. And then he just, look, it's the same thing with me with Elanga. When he scored that goal against Olympiacos the other week, he took on his defenders with his pace, with his dribbling, and he drove the defense back. They couldn't touch him, and he shoots and he scores. Today, he just wanted to cut inside too much. And at times, he was playing central mid and then going across to the left-hand side as well. I just want to see him take the full back on the right-hand side, go outside him, use the pace, and take him on. Get to that byline, get a ball in, or cut it back to the edge of the box or something. It's still not quite clicking with that football IQ-ness for him. Now, there was some nice movements from him. You could argue he got the assist of the assist for the goal, even though the ball bubbled off the Bournemouth player. I'm probably going to give him a 5. I'm going to give him a 5, I think. 5 for me. What have you guys said? 6.2. Maybe I'm a little harsh. Maybe I am a little harsh. Maybe I got to let the fact that he was at Man U go at some point. But you guys have said 6.2. What are you guys saying here? Elanga is trying very hard. No end product. 5, says James. Jake saying so poor, suffocating Callum Hudson-Odoi's side of the field and adding no end product again. Callum Hudson-Odoi was finally freed once Dominguez came on for Elanga. Phil saying, oh, where's Phil's going on? Elanga 5.5. Okay, then nothing all of a sudden looked totally different. Yeah, it was a little weird. It was a little weird. Badger saying trying to copy Hudson-Odoi. And Rich saying didn't help with the defending. Interesting. Okay. Let's talk about Callum Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi. Chow. I thought Chow was a lot better in the second half. I didn't think he was bad in the first half, but this is why I was a bit baffled why he came off, because he was starting to dominate that left-hand side, getting a nice little overload between him and Aina, etc. I didn't get the substitution. I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. He was pushing that Bournemouth defense backwards. More so in the second half than the first half. Let's be honest. Okay. Now, was it his best performance? No, nowhere near. Nowhere near his best performance. But I still think he played okay. It's about a 6 for me for Callum Hudson-Odoi. 6.5, something like that. I just wouldn't have brought him off. I felt like he was building into the game. I think if he'd stayed on, he'd be a 7 for me. Eventually, maybe we would have scored with it. But I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. What have you guys gone? 6.7. Okay. You lot in the chat. There's a lot of 6s and 7s in the chat in general. So that average rating there makes sense. Gaz Red saying the sub was all about defending a 1-0 lead. As simple as that. Yeah, potentially. We'll talk about it when we get on to Nuno. Okay, and then Chris Wood, the goal scorer. Look, again, it's a bit like his preseason for me. I'll be honest with you guys. Yes, John. John's in the chat. Shout out to John. We'll watch this back later. Forest definitely a better team. I'm sure we'll talk about the game later. Yeah, we will, mate. We will. Look, Chris Wood scores the goal. But the rest of his game wasn't much, okay, in my opinion. I just felt those long balls from Sels, which are aimed at Chris Wood, were not sticking. And why we didn't spice up that tactic, I don't know. And then he just comes too deep for me. But he got the goal. At the end of the day, he was in the right position to score. If Chris Wood had the rest of the game the way he has finishing and was about 5 years younger, what a player he would be. Some of you are saying he's not getting the service. He's not getting the service because he's too deep. Sometimes he was deeper than Sangare. And I don't think he has to come that far back. It's hard to judge someone when they've scored. If he hadn't scored, he was a 5 for me. Okay? But with the goal, I'm putting him as a 6. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. I just don't want him to drop so deep. And I don't want Sels to keep kicking it to him because it's not working. But his finishing is sublime. Like, if you think about it, did he have another real chance to score? No. Okay, so I understand what you guys are saying by no service. But, like, he just wasn't there to be provided most times in the box. So I'm going to give him a 6. It's probably harsh, but I've given you guys my reasons. You guys have gone 6.9, so basically a 7. Yeah, Badger, same with me. Sometimes you're thinking, sometimes he looks a bit like Yates, and then when he's in that midfield, you automatically assume it's Yates picking it up, and you're like, what's Chris Wood doing there with the ball? So, all right, if you think it's harsh, it's harsh. It's my say. You guys get to have your say in the chat and on your votes. So anyway, 6.9 for Chris Wood. Right, let's move on to the substitution. So we've done Yates. You guys are going to have to help me with the subs. Who was the first sub? Who was the first sub? Tell me it wasn't the Toffolo Dominguez one. It was. It was. All right, let's get Toffolo out of the way. Let's get Toffolo out of the way. Okay. We can all agree he didn't have a great game. Okay, so we've done Yates. We've done Yates. I don't think we need to go in on him because, well, I'm not going to go in on him. And my reasons for not going in on him are because I've never fully rated him as a Premier League left back. I think he's a good backup. He just hasn't got the pace. And we saw what happens today. And to be fair to him, Bournemouth's biggest threats are from their wingers. And as soon as he came on, I was worried about how he would cope, especially when Semenya got hold of him. So there's no point in calling him crap or saying this was his fault or anything like that because his ability is limited. Okay, so you can't be too harsh on him. You can't expect him to come on and be like, I don't know, Roberto Carlos or something, even though he wasn't a great defender. But that's the thing I'm saying with it. So being harsh on him isn't really the right approach. He's not the right player. Now, the argument for me is, should he be on the bench at all? Is he good enough for the Premier League? After that performance, you would have to say no. And then you need to ask the question, why is Omar Richards being overlooked? We only got to see him once in a preseason. He scored off the bat and he looked pacey and he was overlapping really well. So why is Toffolo ahead of Omar Richards? Are they going to ship him back out to Greece again? That's question 1. Question 2, you can say that you can see why Nuno wants a left back. And the bigger worry here is how bad is Aina's injury? Because if Aina is injured, then Toffolo, based on what we've seen today on hierarchy, would be the second choice left back. And that's the worry. No, Richards wasn't even on the bench. He gets his leg dropped off. That's my worry. Look, was he at fault for the goal? Yeah, the clearance was terrible. Yeah, he shouldn't have played. He shouldn't have cleared it back into Murillo. I mean, I don't know what he could have done, but it is what it is. I'm gonna give him. It was a 3, but I'm not gonna rinse him. I'm not gonna rinse him. Nuno is foolish to put out a team that was the exact same as last season, expect anything different. I mean, that's a fair point. We'll cover that off on the phone in tonight and obviously on Grumpy Old Reds tomorrow night. So let's see what you guys did for Toffolo. 4.4. I thought you guys would have gone lower, to be honest, by all the freaking comments I've been reading about what you lot are saying to him. So a bit harsh. And what's harsher? We're on 186 likes, guys. Come on, I can't be asked to keep reminding you. Hit that like button. Get it sorted. Is Chilwell worth a punt? No, not for me. Not for me at all. So 4.4. So you lot didn't think he was too bad, right? Those likes need to be 200. Get it sorted. Get it sorted. Okay, let's talk about one of my favorite players, and that's Dominguez. And I do agree with a couple of things in terms of what you guys have said about his performance. I thought in general he was okay. I don't think he dominated the way I would have liked him, because he kind of came out to play on the right-hand side, but ended up in the middle. So I'm not really sure who was playing out on the right-hand side. Wolfie, you're scoring the same as me, LOL. When you get in that game of golf for me in Northampton. Next time I'm up, I'll let you know, bro. I'll let you know. But yeah, great minds and all that. So look, he was a solid 6 for me. Subrall probably makes him a 5. Yeah. But I didn't understand the substitution. Again, I'm coming back to the substitution words. There's 3 things in general that annoyed me today. Set plays, defending them still. I mean, let's not forget Bournemouth had one ruled out for offside. Secondly, the long ball kicks from Sels. And thirdly, I hate to say it, Nuno substitutions were a little bit baffling. Well, a lot baffling to me. So look, I'm going to give Dominguez a 6. I don't think... One, he keeps being played out of position. I don't think he's a right winger. He's an 8. He's clearly an 8 for me. And it doesn't work because it imbalances the right-hand side, because naturally he's going to swoop more into the middle. It's because he's cut off his beautiful blonde hair. Yeah, maybe. I'm going to say 6, okay? You guys have gone basically a 6, 5.9. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad. We're in agreement on Dominguez. And then after him, Taiwo came on. What are you guys saying to Taiwo? I'll find this picture. I don't know, guys. I don't know if he's match fit. The ball stuck to him a little better than it did to Wood. He had that header, didn't he? He had that header. Maybe a sharper Taiwo doesn't hit that at the goalkeeper. I don't want to judge him till he's had a full 90 minutes under his belt. I still do worry about his shot. For me, he should have scored the header. And he should have shot when the ball was played into him. I think he was slightly behind him, but he could have hooked his left leg round it. Instead, he tried to lay it off to Morgan Gibbs-White, and the layoff wasn't great. I'm going to give him a 5. Basically a 6, but Subrall 5. He's not fit enough. He's not fit enough. He's called out the changing room, says A Skips. John's saying we were too narrow in the last 20 minutes. We were too defensive, to be honest, in the last 20 minutes. So on a 5 for Taiwo. You guys have gone a 5.33. Okay. And then that brings us on to the last sub before we get on to Nuno. I think it was Anderson, wasn't it? And I liked Anderson. Maybe he was a little try-hard in that match. But I still think there's enough of an argument to be had for Anderson to probably be starting. But Nuno seems to have him tagged as a left midfielder or a left winger, which I don't tend to agree with. I still think he's an 8. I personally would have brought him on today as the 10 for Morgan Gibbs-White. So I'm going to give Anderson a 6. In general, his play was pretty good. There was some nice triangle passes at, about 5 minutes after he came on. There was some really good interplay with him. Toffolo, even at that stage, Yates was coming across Morgan Gibbs-White and stuff. So I'm going to give him a 6, which is basically a 7, but the sub rule, of course. So 6 for me for Anderson. You guys have gone 6.1. Okay, you remembered the sub rule. My first view of Anderson, 6. He was good, not a left winger. Yeah, I'd agree with that, Chucker. Anderson's a 10, but scored a 6, says Kyle. Over Morgan Gibbs-White all day long, says Greg. He plays, he presses, and he can pass. Yeah, he's busy, isn't he? He's busy. Nottingham in Brazil saying Anderson a 5 for him, no real impact. Fair play. Everyone's opinion is welcomed on here. And if I'm not mistaken, that was all the subs, which brings us on to the manager. Okay, so in terms of Nuno today, starting selection, pretty good. Like with Milenkovic not being able to play, he put Boly in. Boly for me was outstanding. No complaints. No complaints with the formation either. No complaints with us taking the lead. No complaints with us for 60 minutes. Complaints come with the substitutions. Substitutions should have been Morgan Gibbs-White for Anderson. Should have left Callum Hudson-Odoi on. And the long ball tactic from Sels, I'm putting it on Nuno. That had to have come from Nuno for me. A few of you have been saying it in the chat. Well, we used the same squad from last season. Therefore, what differences could we expect? And you could argue you guys are justified with that philosophy and that thought, because we did get the same as last season. Sloppy goal given away. We also conceded in quotes from a corner. We looked a little shaky on dead balls still. So there is still a lot that Nuno needs to get right. But there was a lot right in that game. And I am worried about set pieces again. I'd almost forgotten about them in pre-season. And then bang, you get back into the game, it comes crashing back down on you. So I'm going to give Nuno a 6. Like, there's just something about Bournemouth that come heaven, hell, or high water, they just get a goddamn result against us. The positive here is that we're +1 up from the same fixture from last season. There you go. I'm being a happy clapper there. So maybe we can look at that as a positive. So we're in the +1 compared to last season. And you could probably argue Forest were the better team overall, but we didn't create a killer second chance for me that we could have put him away with. So I'm going to give him a 6. What did you guys go with Nuno? Exactly the same to the decimal point. 6.0. Okay. So that's the player ratings. Now let's do the fun thing and do the... Oh, whoops. Let's do the... what's it called? That thing. Man of the match. Man of the match. So either type them in the chat or start to get it in the poll. Let me create a quick poll for you guys here for man of the match. So I'm going to give you these options. Man of the match. We'll have Boly, Yates. Who else do you guys want? We'll chuck in Sangare. I've seen a few of you saying Sangare. And the fourth choice. Who do we want as a fourth option? I've gone blank. Murillo? Should we put Murillo in? Let's put Murillo in. I don't think he'll get many votes, but there we go. Okay. So you got 4 choices. The poll is now live. Boly, Yates, Sangare, Murillo. Get your votes in now. And this is very interesting. There's a 3-horse race here. Boly now pulling away with 45%. Brought back in. Yates on 28, Sangare on 29, and Murillo on 8%. Boly is just slightly in the lead with 36%. I'll give you guys 30 seconds. So get your votes in now. Get them in quick. It's the poll that's in the chat that you can see. 35% for Boly, 27% for Yates, 30% for Sangare. He's moved into second place. Second place he's moved into. My God. Can this hold? You got 10 more seconds. Boly, as they come into the final furlong. Will Boly hold out? He's got a 9% lead. He's holding out. He's holding out. And your time is up in 3, 2, 1. Your man of the match goes to Willy Boly with 38% of the vote, followed by Sangare in second place, Yates in third, and then Murillo. And that, ladies and gents, brings it to really everything we needed to cover, I believe. Is that have we missed anyone, chat? Have we missed anyone? Have we missed anyone? I don't think we have. Okay, let me quickly tell you what's coming up. So we've got your calls coming in. Probably 8:30 or 9 o'clock. I need to go have my dinner, sort the kids out and everything, and speak to Rob and Crypto. We'll do the call in there. You guys will get a chance to come on and have a chat with us. I would have probably given it to Boly, but I'd have had Yates in second place. So I don't know why you keep wanting to go about haters in the chat, man. Let them have their opinion. So we'll be back about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Have a look out for, have your notifications on. And I'm interested to see how you feel it all went. Wolfie commenting through the match 10 as normal. Good stuff, man. Oh, cheers, bro. Cheers, bro. My voice is gone. So I definitely need to go and eat something. So if you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. We'll see you in a couple of hours. Go get your breath. Go get your dinner sorted. And then we'll let you guys do the work. And you guys get to have your say on the phone in. So get your calls in. Choco, you get off to bed. And we'll see you for the phone in on you Reds.